Hello there. Welcome to A Certain Point of View. I'm Michael Hoover, joined tonight by Jessica McNair. What's up, Jess?
Hello.
How's it going?
It's good.
It's
It's
good.
good.
Awesome. Well, and tonight also, guys, Josh Mesker is supposed to be joining us, and he likely will still be joining us, but he is putting those kiddos to sleep, so he might be a minute. I mean, putting them to sleep, like putting them in bed, just to be clear. Um, but guys, we have an awesome show for you tonight. We are going to talk about a lot. We have a whole lot to talk about. We have the first two episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I'm super excited to get into those. We also have some Star Wars Celebration to talk about, which none of us were able to attend, but we are going to talk about at least a little bit of it. And we have a lot of announcements to talk about that came out from Celebration that we need to cover a little bit. But before we get into all of that, Jess, have you had any Star Wars adventures this week at all, or has it just been kind of one of those weeks?
I mean, watching Obi-Wan Kenobi, of course.
Well, of course, that's a given. But other than that,
Um, I watched some Clone Wars at the beginning of the week.
nice. What'd you watch?
Yeah. I am just like kind of casually rewatching it, and so I'm where really sad where someone very important to Obi-Wan dies, and it has to do
Someone.
with Mandalore.
I wonder who that could be.
Yeah, so
Bummer.
I'm in that part of the show.
So you've
So
been watching it
actually
through
no, I'm way past
chronologically?
that. I'm sorry. I got to where I'm on season 6 now. So
Oof.
I'm way past that. I'm the whole
So,
Ahsoka and the bombing and all that stuff happened.
man, that's some heavy stuff right there.
Yeah. But I feel like
Uh,
all of that's pretty close together, so it's like
oh yeah,
all really sad.
yeah, it is. You got the
Season 5
Mandalore.
is
This,
hard.
you have the Mandalore arc with Satine
Yeah.
and all that, which is incredible. And then the you have the Ahsoka arc at the end where she leaves, and it's so heartbreaking. And then you have in season 6, I think the first arc, correct me if I'm wrong, you just watched it, but the isn't it the good soldiers follow order, the one where you follow orders, the one where you follow fives and
Yeah.
Rex?
Yeah.
Heartbreaking, absolutely gut punch arc.
And
It's
then I was
so
like,
good though.
okay, now Obi-Wan's coming out. I don't know if I can watch any more sad.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
was gonna watch Revenge of the Sith before, but I was like, I don't think I can emotionally do it.
Yeah, it's absolutely it's so sad. By the way, really quick, we have this is Jack and Jack Cornwall. He says, "Yo guys, just wanted to stop by and say hello as I'm finishing Stranger Things, which I've barely thought about." Obi-Wan came out and I have barely thought about Stranger Things. That is how excited I have been about Obi-Wan. But I did decide earlier I'm going to start it tonight after the show, so I'm actually pumped. And Jack also says, and Josh is always late. Jack, I have one thing to tell you. A wizard is never late. He arrives precisely when he means to.
I wish people said that about me and being like, but no.
No, no, sorry. It's just wizards.
Yeah, I'm not a wizard.
And then Jack said, I believe this is Jack. Yeah, he says, I watched 5 episodes last night. Dude, I'm hearing great things, Jack. What are your thoughts on it? Just big thoughts on Stranger Things. I've heard that it's great and the episodes are are really long, actually. Yeah, and Jack says Josh is no wizard. um, I don't know, man. I kind of think he is.
I can't wait
Um,
to watch it, but we're waiting. So my parents have watched Stranger Things.
the new season?
No,
Oh, okay.
they've just it's a show that they've watched that we've watched.
Mm.
And so we're about to go on vacation with them, and so we're gonna save it. And like if we have downtime and rainy days or things like that, we're gonna watch it. I think
Amazing. I can't wait.
while we're
It
gone.
so they've released the first 7 episodes of season 4, and they're releasing the last 2 in a few months, I believe, is what the plan is. Okay, here we go. Jack says, so good. The story is fantastic, but the runtime is long. Not a problem for me personally. He says episode 7 is an hour 40, but it has really been awesome so far. I've heard that about the long run times. Not a turn off for me whatsoever.
Yeah, my husband really likes Stranger Things too, and he's really excited actually about a longer run time. He's like, they're doing it even better. So
Well, that's yet to be determined.
yeah.
Longer is not always better. Don't go there. And then Jack says release for part 2, I guess is what you're saying, is in July. Yeah.
I thought they were doing it all at once. I didn't realize they weren't releasing all of it.
Yeah, they're experimenting. Netflix is trying new things because well, they're not doing too well right now. There's on the old stock market. But they're trying new things. They're instead of releasing everything at once, they're releasing it in 2 parts, which I think is smart. Because we've talked about this. I've used Stranger Things as an example. I love that Disney and like Star Wars and Marvel and all that is releasing, except for the first week, they've released 2 episodes, sometimes even 3 episodes on week 1. But after that, it's one episode at a time. And I personally love that because, number one, that just suits me as a viewer. I love having a week to kind of ruminate and talk and think about it. But for them as a business, it just makes so much more sense. You're in the news for 6 weeks or 8 weeks. And after Stranger Things comes out, everybody binges it. And then the next week, no one's talking about it anymore because it's just gone. It's done. But instead, people are going to be talking about Stranger Things and building up to July and the finale and all that. So I think it's really smart. I'm excited about that personally. Jack says it is weird because all the actors are getting too old to play high school students. It is getting weird how old they are.
I mean, people that play high school students are always older.
Yeah, it's true. Tom Holland is like 26 years old.
Yeah, I mean, they're always like in their 20s. It's easier for them. I mean, it's just easier for a lot of things for them to be over 18 with filming, you know?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just
So much more practical.
easier.
Yeah, they don't have to worry about like getting them tutors and stuff like that.
Well, it's not that, but I think like the hours they can work is different. And I think like parents
Absolutely.
have to be on set and
Yeah, totally
there's
different.
just like so much more with kids.
Yeah. And then he says, but the character dynamics are there. Dustin and Steve are literally the best duo. I'm so excited for some more Dustin and Steve. I can't tell you. Honestly, that was probably the best thing about season 3, which I loved. I've loved every season. I know people don't like season 2 and 3 as much as the first one.
Oh, I've really liked all of them.
I've really liked all of them too a lot. I think Stranger Things is a great show. I do think the only reason that I haven't been psyched about it is about season 4 is because of Kenobi and all the Star Wars stuff, but also just because it's been 3 years. It's just like a weirdly long amount of time. But
Has
I
it
guess
been that long?
it has. 2019 is when season 2 came, or
Well,
season
I guess
3 came
the
out.
pandemic. That's just
Oh, look who's
2020
here!
and all of that's kind of just like a blur.
Look who's here! We got Ash. Hey, Ash.
Hi.
She says, just like Obi-Wan, I am back, and someone else is back. We got Josh Mesker.
Yashi.
What's up, Josh?
Hello there.
Jesus
I guess that's
lies. That's what
appropriate
it is.
this time. It's not just
It's ultra
something-
appropriate.
something you
It's
say. It's actually appropriate.
Are you
it's
drinking
ultra
coffee?
appropriate.
I'm drinking mint tea with honey because
Ooh, good call.
it feel great.
Yeah.
So
You don't feel great?
No,
Uh-oh.
Sorry, dude.
but I still wanted to do this. Some type of sinusy thing.
Allergies are so bad right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we just got a dog.
Oh.
Yeah.
but
I
you're
needed stress
allergic.
in my life. All right. So yeah, it's
But
pretty
wait,
great.
you're allergic to dogs.
Just a smidge.
I
Anyway,
would.
we got.
Jess is like, bad idea.
Is it
My son's way more
hypoallergenic?
allergic, and we're trying to figure out how to deal with that. We even got hypoallergenic one that's better for allergies. That there's no such thing as like a perfectly hypoallergenic dog, especially if like your allergies are super bad. But so But it's all good. It's a little Yorkie poo.
Aww.
Or no, a Morkie. It's a
Oh,
Morkie.
Morkies are so stinking cute.
So most
oh my
cats
gosh.
are bigger than this
How
thing.
old is it?
8 weeks.
Oh, good luck. Potty
I'll
training.
I'll send
Yorkies
photos.
and
No, I've already
Maltese
cleaned
are
crap
both
off the carpet
very
today,
hard.
so.
Okay, guys, let's get a little on track. Josh, dude, how's
I'll
it
give you
going?
some
I know
tips
you're not.
in our chat, Josh, at another time.
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
So, Josh, I know you're not feeling well. Thank you for coming on anyway, man. I'm glad that you're here. We're gonna get your thoughts on Obi-Wan, but to get into, first of all, Ash says Josh looking like Palpatine with them eyes. Which is great. Guys, just so y'all know kind of what's on the rundown for tonight. We're going to talk about at the top. I just want to talk a little bit about Celebration because obviously none of us are there, but I've been following it quite a bit, as much as I can, because they don't share all of the panels for some reason, which is lame. But I've been following as much as I can, and there's just been a lot of exciting stuff coming out of Celebration. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the news coming out of Celebration. We got trailers. We got, just some news about things that we've been expecting. We got a couple of new things that we weren't expecting. I want to talk about that, and then we will get into Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that's on the agenda tonight. So first of all, I do want to talk about Celebration. So Josh, I asked this to Jess earlier, but I haven't asked you. Have you been following Celebration at all over the past couple of days?
Loosely, just
yeah.
I've been playing, but I think most of the big things I caught, like most of the big announcements I caught, and then caught a little bit of video that came out to some pretty cool stuff, but not as closely as I'd like, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly it's limited anyway. Like, as long as you're seeing some of the announcements, which we've pretty much talked about a lot of the announcements in our chat. So, but I just wanted to talk about, if you guys haven't watched it yet, there is on the Star Wars YouTube channel. They have done some things, and so yesterday they did share the panel for the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones. And it was amazing. That panel was fantastic because they had first of all, Ashley Eckstein was the moderator who voices Ahsoka in the animated series, which was great.
And we love her. Yeah,
and she was great. And then hello Scott. How's it going? You haven't missed anything. We just started. So she was moderating, and then after that, we discovered that who was it? Both Boba Fett's were on the stage. We had Tamira Morrison and we had Daniel Logan, and they kind of stole the show for a good portion of the night. And then they had a couple of the people involved with Matthew Wood doing sound design, some of the people with visual effects, and all that was really great. And then later on, Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor joined it, and it was just a great time. It was, I don't remember how long it lasted, but I highly recommend you guys go check out that panel. It was really great. And there's been other good stuff too. I listened to an interview from Ian McDiarmid, and he's just always so entertaining to listen to. So highly recommend it. But so that's kind of just my Celebration experience this year from home. But I did want to talk about, we got to talk about a few things that were released at Celebration. So we got, the first thing on the agenda is the Andor trailer, the Andor teaser. First of all, Josh, I know we've talked about it a little bit, but what were your general thoughts on the teaser?
Oh my gosh. Well, I loved it. And in fact, out of all of the teaser trailers and just trailers in general for any of the Star Wars shows, that includes going back to season 1 of Mando, I honestly, this is my favorite trailer. It's so well cut. The music is perfect. The mood is intense. Got that gritty Rogue One, A New Hope aesthetic. But it's also kind of blending the two, because you see how the old Republic is still morphing into the Empire, because some of the same ships are being used and so forth. I mean, it's such a fascinating time within the Star Wars timeline, in my opinion. Right after the the years between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope is, in my opinion, one of the more fascinating timelines and kind of era. I love that they're going back and into Andor's story and how he kind of became what he was, and I think that, not that it doesn't already, but I think it's going to pack an even emotional punch. The finale of Rogue One is actually going to pack an even bigger emotional punch after this series with him, because we'll be even more invested in the character and what we went through. And in Rogue One, we're kind of given some hints about what those things kind of how battle hardened he's become, and the reasons for that. And so I could not have been more filled with this teaser trailer. In fact, it was so close to looking like a trailer, like in its quality and presentation and editing and emotions and everything. It was almost like a movie trailer, in my opinion. And so I loved it, absolutely loved it.
Dude, I agree. I thought it was amazing. And really quick, Ash says it looks like a generic sci-fi channel movie. Ash, I need you to explain yourself, because I didn't see this at all. I don't understand. Explain it in the chat what you mean. Why don't you like this? Why do you think it doesn't look good at all? For me, I feel like we watched a different trailer, because this teaser was absolutely, it was stunning. The idea that they're not using the volume so much for this, I'm sure they'll use it some, but they're on site, they're on location for a lot of this stuff, and it immediately makes a huge difference, like just cinematically, and seeing all of the, like, I have always been fascinated with the transition between Republic and Empire and how that goes, and the Bad Batch covered it quite a bit, and it's going to continue to do that, which is one of the reasons why I love it. But this is it looks like it's going to be even darker, which so was Rogue One, which is, I'm really excited, because look, ultimately Star Wars is excuse me Star Wars is about hope, and that's what I love about it ultimately. But it is also wars. It's also Star Wars, and a lot of times, sometimes it's darker, but a lot of times it's not as dark. It's gonna be really cool to see this darker, grittier side of the whole rebellion versus the Empire, the politics. Seeing Mon Mothma looks amazing. I've always just kind of been a fan of Mon Mothma. I've always found her super intriguing, and seeing her, it looks like we're going to go deeper into her character, which I'm really excited about. But I just love this idea that we're going to get to see some of this. I think it's super fascinating when you look at, we obviously know that, like, the rebellion versus the Empire is going to be kind of more gritty, but I've always been fascinated by Rogue One, where they really start to go into the fact that for a rebellion, when you have a rebellion, you have to kind of get your hands dirty. And like, what does that look like when you're still trying to be good and defeat the evil Empire? How far do you go before you become just as bad as them? And like, that's just a really fascinating thing to me. And doing it with new characters, obviously Cassian is a character we're familiar with, and Mon Mothma as well, but there's a lot of new characters in this that I'm really excited to explore. And it's 12 episodes, 2 seasons of 12 episodes. I'm really excited about it. I think it's really exciting. Jess, what about you? What did you think of the trailer?
I agree with Josh. I liked it a whole lot. It definitely reminded me as well of a movie trailer. Um A New Hope is like my favorite Star Wars movie. So anything that's going to give it more content and more information and build that part of the story, I'm all for it. So and I really enjoyed Rogue One. I It's a top Star Wars movie for me for sure. And so expanding on those characters is something that I'm definitely looking forward to. I don't know, I'm just interested to see what all they get into with him, being like a spy, like what all secrets does he actually uncover, that doesn't get told because of what happens, in the end of Rogue One. I don't know. I'm excited to see what they do. I just think there's so much story that's still there that can be filled during that time. That also ties into the sequels as well. So I'm just excited for that.
Yeah, I think, I totally agree. I think what we're going to see is, there was, in a really meaningful way, it's like, it's tough to watch A New Hope without Rogue One, in my opinion now, because I think they just work together. I think, obviously, because one just literally segues into the other with essentially no time lost. But I think Andor is going to build upon that arc. And so what we're going to see, if we're going to at least look at it in a vacuum, is you're going to see a story arc from the beginning of Andor through Rogue One to the end of A New Hope. You're going to see a larger arc there. And I'm all for, I'm all for that and everything. And so, I can't wait. I think it's going to be a blast. I think Bill will show up again. It was cool to see him in a, show that we're about to talk about here. Too, really great to see him. That guy does not age. And the actress who plays Mon Mothma apparently not as well. Apparently she does not age. Apparently, and so
it's
I
okay, Josh. We don't either.
That is true. Well, I'm a vampire, so.
Michael, you haven't really aged either. All of us, we all look good for our age.
Well, thank you.
Palpatine eyes, but baby skin everywhere.
You don't have Palpatine skin, that's for sure.
No, I would have gone to the doctor well before that got to be a dermatologist.
So really quick, Ash says, to me, it doesn't look like Star Wars and doesn't feel like Star Wars. It looks like a low-budget sci-fi movie. What? People looking like they walked off the Walking Dead set with AK-47 props. I have no idea what you're talking about. She says, that said...
Each their own.
Yeah, she said, that said, I'll still be watching it. As I told my friend, it's got 2 episodes to hook me. She says, dang it, I'm outnumbered here. Yes, you are. And then she also says, lots of people rumored in Andor, Bail, Ahsoka, Kenobi, Tarkin, Krennic. Yeah, it makes sense for a lot of those people to appear at some point, and there's a lot of episodes for it to happen. So, yeah.
And I get how it can feel a little different than Star Wars because it is centered around, I'm guessing like a rebellion cell. And if there's not a lot of Jedis in it, it is going to feel a little different than some of the other Star Wars that we've gotten, because if there's not a lot of lightsabers and like the Force and that kind of stuff, which I think that will be in there, just not as prominent. So I can see how that could make it have a little bit different of a feel. Sure. But I think it's supposed to. I think it's kind of supposed to like explore what kind of the regular people, maybe, I guess you could say.
Well, like for me,
go through.
For me, it's like not only it looks like Rogue One, like it looks just like Rogue One, which is an established Star Wars movie, and so like for me, that's one thing, but also like it does look different than a lot of Star Wars things, but to me,
Mhm.
how is that bad? Like, in my opinion, that's a wonderful thing. Like, like as long as it remains faithful to what's come before, and as long as it
And what
still
comes after it.
and what comes after, and as long as it still maintains the themes of Star Wars, but like, for me, I'm the galaxy is huge. The Star Wars galaxy is so big, and this is not a brand new, we're not going beyond we're not going beyond the episode 9 and all that stuff. We're not going way forward into the future with Star Wars with this show. No, but to me, that is not a super explored time period in Star Wars. The directly after the fall of the Republic into the rise of the Empire, that transitional phase. I just I think that is such a rich period of time to explore. And so for me, I'm super excited about it, and I do think, Ash, I just disagree. I think it looks like Rogue One, which also looks like Star Wars. So to me, we'll just disagree. That's okay. I hope it convinces you to watch it. I think it's gonna hook me right away. It already has. Personally, it's my most anticipated show after Kenobi now. So that's me.
Not
But
Ahsoka? How dare you?
no,
You know,
Ahsoka is exciting, but no, Andor is definitely my most anticipated now.
what I like about, because Star Wars has been around so long, is it's like if we only had the original trilogy, we'd go, and that's all we ever had. We'd go, okay, that's Star Wars. That's what Star Wars looks like. That's what Star Wars feels like. The Phantom Menace turned that on its head. The Phantom Menace, a lot of people complained about it because, when it first came out, because it did not look or feel like a Star Wars movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what they're saying is it didn't look and feel like what came before. But now we have like so many different flavors of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
We have our mystical Jedi Star Wars, our galactic Star Wars, our espionage Star Wars, there are so many different anime Star Wars now. We have so many different flavors of Star Wars, and I think that the galaxy is big enough to accommodate, all of that. But everyone has their own preferences,
Yeah,
and things
absolutely.
they like and things that they dislike, and that's the way it is, and that's the way it's gonna be, and we just all stay civil and nice to each other, and accept each other's opinions, and we move on, and we remain fans of the same universe even when something doesn't hit us, like maybe we wanted it to, or we're expecting,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
so anyway, I guess we have something to talk about.
We do, and there is some more Star Wars news that came out, but we really should get into Obi-Wan. Just really quick, there is a new show called The Skeleton Crew that's going to be coming out, directed by John Watts, who did the Spider-Man trilogy in the MCU. Very excited about that. And it's starring Jude Law, apparently. And so that sounds cool. Ahsoka is coming in 2023. They released at Celebration a first look kind of teaser, kind of not, which I haven't seen, but it has been confirmed we're going to see a lot of our Rebels characters, which is exciting. The Mandalorian is set to debut at season 3 in February of 2023. And this one is the one that, and I'll just talk about it really quick and then we'll get into Obi-Wan. But Tales of the Jedi was just announced a couple of weeks ago, I believe. It was announced for the first time, but we had no idea what it was going to be like. We have a little more information now, and I'm going to read this thing from IGN really quick. So it says, Star Wars Tales of the Jedi is an upcoming anthology original animated a series of animated shorts headed to Disney Plus this fall. It will not only tell stories of Ahsoka and Count Dooku at different parts of their lives, but it will also feature, or it will also see Liam Neeson return to voice Qui-Gon Jinn. Tales of the Jedi was officially revealed at Star Wars Celebration and will consist of 6 episodes, with 3 focusing on Ahsoka and the other 3 focusing on Count Dooku. Amazing.
Canon.
I cannot
canon.
wait. And
Yep.
yeah, I believe they are, right?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, and so they're canon. I am beyond giddy about this. I'm so excited about it. And anyway, I wanted to read that. Jess, you didn't know about it before what it was. How does that sound to you? How cool does that sound?
I mean, I'm down for more Star Wars stuff. So
Oh my gosh. I can't tell you how exciting it is. I've read a little bit of of Master and Apprentice already. And so I'm kind of in that Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Dooku zone right now. And so this just sounds amazing. To get an animated show that goes into those characters a bit just sounds absolutely wonderful to me. So I'm super pumped. And then you get more Ahsoka, obviously. So that just sounds wonderful. Super excited. Okay.
Oh, Ash says, "Where is my acolyte?" I agree. I think that's one of the more interesting and mysterious
And it's coming.
kind of concepts, and I
It's-
cannot.
and
That's
yes,
gonna be great.
she's not a part of the Fandom Menace. I just
Oh.
told that.
I don't think we
Wait,
would ever
what?
assume that. We would never assume that.
He said, "Oh yeah, okay." So she says, "Hey, Jess and Blue Elephant will back me up. I'm not part of the Phantom Menace." He never thought that at all, and I would never think that either.
Sorry,
Ash.
I don't have it on the comments that often because I get distracted.
No, it's all good. I
I just
no,
saw that. I was like,
Ash,
no,
you're
no, I
good.
don't think you are.
No, not at all. Ash, you're all good. We just disagree with you, but that's totally fine. I really sincerely hope it wins you over. That's all. That's all I'll say. But it's all good. Let's talk about Kenobi.
Yeah.
So the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi were released actually earlier than we anticipated on late Thursday night instead of 2:00 Central Time, which is what I thought it was going to be. It was what was it, 10 or 11? And
11.
It was 11. So they released it
11
3 hours
Central,
early.
9 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah, which made me super happy because I was about to stay up until 4 o'clock. So
I was not. I was going to bed.
I
And
totally was.
I'm not even trying to act like I wasn't.
I'm serious. I was
This
absolutely.
old girl needs her sleep.
I was 100% gonna stay up and watch it. I really was. So, guys, let's just get, first of all, general thoughts on these 2 episodes, kind of just as a whole, general thoughts, and then we'll dive deeper into the episodes as we go. For me, really quick, I absolutely love both of these episodes. I think episode 1 for me was better than episode 2, but I really, really enjoyed episode 2. I have a few little qualms we'll get into, but mostly I just absolutely love it. I was kind of blown away by the scope of it. First of all, I think there's something about Deborah Chow uses the volume really well. She uses it better than some of the other people that have been directing Disney Plus Star Wars shows to me. There's something about whenever the Book of Boba Fett was on, I really felt like I could see the volume. I could kind of see the screen almost. It really felt small, and it felt like they were on a stage with the volume behind them. But to me, the volume has kind of disappeared mostly. I have found that Deborah Chow has really worked well with it and made everything feel so much bigger. And so that's how I took it. I really appreciated that. The score from Natalie Holt, I am in love with it. I think it's different for Star Wars, but I think it's a good different. And she does some stuff with strings that just absolutely blow me away. It's so good. I enjoyed, we'll get into spoilers here in a little bit, but there were a lot of, there was a big major twist in episode 1 that I did not see coming. And I don't know why, because it makes total sense. kind of where the story is going. Um, I'm super happy about that. I really feel like they've done a good job of making a good story, at least to this point, while at the same time also really like sitting with Obi-Wan in this place where he's at, and it's a really sad place. He's in a really bad place, and so sitting with him in that and it's exploring his character on that level. I really thought they did that really well, while also making a well-paced story through 2 episodes. So I'm absolutely hyped for this show. It's different than I thought it was going to be, but that's not a bad thing. It's really good. I would say if I was making this show, I probably would have done more of a Logan approach, where it was like a lot more depressing for longer, which I do think we're in for some more emotional, depressing stuff coming up. That, at the end of episode 2, there was a lot of stuff happening, and Obi-Wan is in, like, it looked like he was having a panic attack. I think we're about to get some really good emotional stuff with him. But I feel like I might have sat for like 3 whole episodes in just depression on Tatooine, which might not have been good, might not have been what everybody wanted, but that was what I was like this whole time leading up. I was like, I'd be fine with Obi-Wan just literally being about Obi-Wan being depressed in the desert. And so that's probably what I would have done, but this is great. I'm enjoying this so much. Josh, big thoughts. What are your big thoughts on the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Well, first of all, my good. I mean, that's the short answer, and I try to give those as often as I possibly can. As we know, I struggle with brevity sometimes, and
That's
but
a lie. You like giving long answers.
yes, I do.
No way.
But I thought it was good, and frankly, I think that the I wasn't so sure about like with the first episode. Of course, it's just the first episode. Wasn't so sure about kind of like the pacing, but I think by the time I got through this episode into the climax of the second episode, I really saw a thing come together, right? Mm-hmm. Where you've got Obi-Wan in the beginning of the first episode, isolated, hiding himself, and then it requires an old friend like Bail and Leia being in danger to kind of draw out of his shell and show himself, but that puts him in danger, and then that reveals things that as you cause him great great distress and panic. And so I think as far as like a kind of a little 2-episode arc, from isolation to kind of showing himself using the Force again and for the first time in who knows how long. I mean, he probably basically cut himself off intentionally so he wouldn't be found. I think it's a nice little 2-episode arc from that point A to point B, and it's like I'm like, we've only got 4 episodes left. It's like I'm not to be sad already.
Yeah,
because I'm like, how are they gonna do this, right? In just 4 episodes. Good news is that Ewan McGregor has already said, hey, I would love for there to be a season 2. And if there's enough story for a season 2, I don't think anyone is going to be sad about a second season of an Obi-Wan Kenobi show, if as long as there's story there. And so I good thoughts all around. I can nitpick. I agree with Ash that there are some areas where like there were some odd camera and editing choices that I think would have been like on a movie set and fixed before it went to Final Cut, and things like that. Some things that kind of still smacked of more like TV production, as opposed to, because sometimes in TV production it's like, that's good enough. But like movies are a lot more, generally speaking, are just a lot more tightly controlled, and and everything. And so I agree with Ash. There were some of those things there, but overall, I mean, I'm liking this. I'm liking this a whole lot, and I have obviously positive things to say. Like both episodes, but I actually liked, at least as far as the first run is concerned, I liked the second better than the first episode.
So interesting, man. So good.
I know it's weird, and because I don't know if I would traditionally pick that, but I think what did it for me were the scenes, honestly, with all those scenes with Obi-Wan and young Leia, where she's kind of like poking at him and he's responding, and we're learning more about where his mind at and who she is, and you really this very fascinating psychological exchange between these two characters throughout that episode, that I just found really compelling and well written and interesting. And so I think that's what kind of did it for me, and kind of put it over, because we're still learning more about Obi-Wan, because he's still kind of in his shell, even though he's out and about, and so we're still kind of learning more about where his headspace is. And so I think that's what did it for those interactions between him and that adorable little girl, Feisty. I love when he says, "You remind me of someone." That was very sweet.
Oh, and there's like discussion on Twitter, like, oh, is it Satine? No, it's Padme. They're talking about Padme. It works for Satine, but they're talking about Padme.
They're talking about Padme.
100%. Yeah. They're talking about Padme. Jess, what did you think? Just big thoughts on the show, on both episodes.
I really enjoyed it. I only have like a few criticisms, and I like hate having them because I don't want to be like a critical
Didn't realize
Star
you were
Wars
such a
person.
hater, Jessica. Cannot believe you would have criticism.
Yeah. But I've thoroughly enjoyed both episodes. I think because of the emotional ending of 2, I kind of lean more towards episode 2, kind of like Josh, as like a favorite out of the 2.
1 over 2. You like 1 better than 2?
I would say I would pick 2 over 1, maybe.
2 over 1.
To, like,
wow,
pick.
Interesting.
Just because I love that ending. It's just
it's a great ending.
It's so powerful and it's so emotional.
And I was like,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
He's totally having a panic attack.
All I could
so
think
good.
is like, what's going on in his head? Like I couldn't imagine. Like my best friend, basically brother. Like, oh my gosh,
yeah.
Like 10 years. I don't know. I find it a really interesting concept for a show, like what Obi-Wan was doing during this time, and I also find it really interesting too. That they did this 10 years after. So we're kind of seeing him 10 years after adapting to hiding and trying to protect Luke, and kind of, not using the Force and that sort of thing to try to stay hidden. And so it's really interesting. It really kind of makes me think of Luke a little bit in The Last Jedi, how he cut himself off from the Force, and it seems like he's kind of trying to do that. You see that kind of throughout both episodes, whether he really hesitates in using his lightsaber or anything. You can tell that when he's shooting a blaster, which we know he hates.
So uncivilized.
Yeah, he's not super accurate, like he's totally not using the Force. And so I don't know, I just found that really interesting to see Obi-Wan where he is, and knowing his story, especially watching Clone Wars and learning more about him as a character, which that show made me really, really love his character even more. And so just seeing all of that and then getting to this 10 years later, I'm just very interested in to see where it goes. I didn't expect them to bring Leia or any of that into it, and I love that they did. I think that little girl is phenomenal. Her sass and everything is just perfect. And I think they work together really well, you know, like all of the scenes with them together were pretty good, you know, and
And just so you know, her name is Vivian Lyra Blair. I think that's how you pronounce
oh,
it.
Vivian, I love it.
Yeah,
I feel like
Vivian.
Carrie would love her.
Who?
Yeah.
um but anyway, I don't know, just overall I'm really enjoying it, and I'm interested in learning more stories. And one of the things that draws me to Star Wars is just the character building. That's very important to me and to anything. I get invested in characters, and so learning more about a character's story, backstory, what they've gone through, you know, filling in these gaps. I love it. I eat it all up. So I think that's also why I've kind of started to get into like books, like the Star Wars books and things like that. And I know Curry and Drew and everybody's really trying to get me into the comics, so that
Me
might
too.
happen
Yeah,
too.
me
Who
too.
knows, you know? Because some of them just look so interesting, like especially Darth Vader and Kylo, and you know some of the
Mm-hmm.
ones about like their stories that haven't been told, you know, on film or whatever, you know. So
Right.
that's I guess that's kind of my general thoughts. I'm just like really enjoying it, and I love the prequels. I don't care to say that I love the prequels. I love the prequels. And so anything
What?
more during that time, I love it.
Yeah. Like, okay, so I know one, like for me, what I have seen some criticism, and I know we were kind of talking about some of this earlier, but I've seen some criticism that the show is kind of moving faster than some people want it to, and it hasn't gone into character as much as people wanted it to. And I don't know what show those people are talking about. I don't know if they watch the same show that I watched, because when episode 1 started, like through the whole first kind of, you know, actually this kind of happened through the episodes, through the entire first episode, on and off, but we see not once, not twice, but 3 times we see, like, to me, they bring Obi-Wan down. They right away they show us how low Obi-Wan is. And so the first time we see Obi-Wan, we see him working at this like meat packing plant or something, like
It's like a fish or
on
something.
on the clock, and like he's
Yeah.
clocking in, clocking out, and he's behind this person in line, and the person in front of him is like, "Wait, I'm only getting paid half of the usual amount. I have a family to feed." And the boss guy is like bullying him. He like pushes him over, and Obi-Wan does not do anything. He doesn't help in any way. He just stands there and watches. And right away we know, okay, Obi-Wan is hiding to the point where he is working this job, this less than minimum wage job, literally having to steal scraps for his what is it? What is that thing called that he rides around? Um, Oipe or something. I can't remember what that creature is called. But it's like
Oh, the
a
little
Star Wars.
camel elephant
It's
thing.
a Star Wars camel elephant.
A camel anteater.
Yeah,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, with the mouth of an anteater. But like, so we see him, and he's working there. He's working there, and then not only that, but he also is not helping those in need, and that is not Kenobi at all. That's not the Obi-Wan that we know. And then we see him in his
and
cave.
yet you can tell he wants to, though. Like even in that moment, wanted to so badly. Like he has a strong sense of justice, and he wanted to, but he's like, my mission is to protect Luke. My mission is to protect Luke. You know, and he just kind of keeps reminding him of that.
Yeah, and I also think there's that, but also he just, like, it's brought up multiple times. I'm not the man I used to be. It's been 10 years. And something I love about modern Star Wars is we're seeing from multiple characters, we're seeing how shame affects the best of us. And Obi-Wan is 100% hiding in shame on Tatooine. Yes, he is protecting Luke, but it's pretty clear later when Bail tries to convince him to help him rescue Leia, he's kind of using Luke as using his mission as a crutch to just not deal with his shame. And so it's pretty clear that that's kind of what's going on. And it's hard to see Obi-Wan like this. I'm not going to lie. Just like it was hard to see Luke like that. And by the way, this is Curry. What's up, dude? How's it going? So it's hard to see him like this. Even a Jedi comes up to him in the first episode, the one that's on the run from the Inquisitors, and he asks Obi-Wan for help, and Obi-Wan says, "You want my help? Go take your lightsaber and bury it in the desert, and go live a normal life." Like, he is so done with that life, and he says the days of the Jedi are over. It's very similar to Luke. It really is. And to me, the way that they did it was so believable too. It was like, just like Luke. But I absolutely think that there are so many character moments. And by the way, I love that they go back to that meat packing plant or whatever, like 3 times in the episode, to show just the monotonous, mundane life that Obi-Wan has just kind of, you could see it, you could watch that and be like, that's unnecessary. We don't need to see him working this many times. It is necessary, because we need to see the place that Obi-Wan is in. We need to see this monotonous, repetitive life that he's living, as he's just in the desert. He's in the desert of his soul, to be honest. And also, how heartbreaking is it that he is just calling out for Qui-Gon's help, and there's nothing.
And in fact,
I think that's going to pay off
for like 10 years.
There is no question in my mind Qui-Gon's coming. Like, it was in that intro. It was in like the training I have for you was kind of in that previously on, that was before the episode. That was kind of leading in, and then he's trying to communicate with Qui-Gon. There's no way he's not coming into the show. Like, I'm
going to lose my mind, by the way.
Another thing too with the Qui-Gon stuff is like,
throw that out there.
Yeah. we know
Qui-Gon's
that
like me. Like, if I was a Jedi, I would be very much a Qui-Gon type and die young. Most likely.
And die young.
Yeah.
Jess, what were you trying to say?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, like, for those of us that have watched Clone Wars and kind of watched that arc with Yoda and
so good,
how he learns all of that, and so there's a lot of things that Yoda even has to overcome in order to learn that skill of contacting people through the Force. And so it's interesting, I think, also to see Obi-Wan. It's been 10 years and he's still saying, "Master, where are you?" Like, he's not talking to him at this point. Like, it's been 10 years. And, in 9 years is when, A New Hope happens, because he's Luke and Leia are like 19, right? So it's like he's had 10 of these years. And I think the journey we're going to get with him is going to be very good and very interesting. And I think that they're going to take every little thing. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to point out every little thing. Like, it's a journey he's going to go through as a Jedi. Like, you are still a Jedi. You have to learn. You're still learning. You're learning these things. And in order to be able to speak with Qui-Gon, to speak with your master and that sort of thing, like, he's got to let that shame and a lot of those things go. And so I think that's what the show is really going to focus on, is him working through those things in order to be who he's supposed to be for Luke and Leia later.
It's gonna be so powerful. I feel like we're all in for a whole lot of tears in a little bit. The
fact that he connected with Anakin at the end.
Oh my gosh, when he says Anakin, and you see Anakin's eyes open. Oh man, crazy.
Yeah. So it's not that it's not possible for him to connect. Clearly, he reached out through the Force and connected with Anakin. I think there's stuff that's holding him back, and he's ashamed
Yeah.
with Qui-Gon. I mean, it probably has to do with Anakin's fall and the fact that he thought that, he killed this, brother to him, someone that he loved dearly.
Mm-hmm.
And so seeing Obi-Wan unpack that, I think, is going to be very hard, but very good. It's going to be a really good show.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm loving it. I think that there's that's all just in the first episode. Like, except for obviously the Anakin part we just talked about. That's in the second episode. But all of that is character stuff in the first episode.
Yep.
And Ewan McGregor is playing this part so well. He's performing this so well. And I don't know, Josh, any thoughts on just the pace of the show so far and the character development aspect of it? Is it satisfactory to you?
For the most part, I would say it was. I think especially once to the end of the second episode, and like I said, could kind of put those two episodes together and kind of go from point A to point B and go, okay, this is where he was, this is where he's at, but he's by no means in the clear, and in fact, this is going to cause him even more distress and conflict and so forth, because I think that if he could choose, it would be easier for him in current state to basically just choose to accept that Anakin is gone, right? Because the implication of Anakin being alive and still being Darth Vader and being, at least at this point, essentially a puppet for the Emperor, can be even more terrifying of a prospect, right? Because hated to do what he had to do, but you all remember in Revenge of the Sith, he said that he would do what he must do. And he saw Anakin as an imminent threat to peace, and he really had no choice but to fight him at that point. And so it absolutely grieved him to do it, but it was for the greater good,
Yeah.
And now he's finding out that that's not even the case. So it's almost like a double failure when you think about it. Like, that's how I look at it. Where it's like,
he had to face him, but he didn't even kill him, and now he's suffering and still alive. And here's his daughter right next to me.
Right,
Man,
and Anakin's an even bigger threat now than he was. So I didn't even do that right. And
wow,
and
I never thought of it like
everything.
that.
And so I think that's an important thing to kind of like with like his psyche. I think that's kind of an important thing to discuss there, and probably what he's dealing with, and that's a really good just too about how well it's, the stakes are even higher now because that's his daughter standing right there and up there, and of course, if Anakin were to find out that he had offspring, as Obi-Wan says much later, they'd be a threat to him, and he'd be looking for them and everything. And so that really ups the stakes for Obi-Wan, in this moment where, he's mostly protecting Luke back on Tatooine, but he's got Leia to kind of look after from far, as well. Ash also makes an interesting point here. We aren't giving Owen enough love. He's a jerk, yes, because he cares about Luke. He's not being grouchy just to be grouchy. I totally agree.
Yeah.
With that assessment, he does care about. He's a little harsh, but he does care about Luke and keeping Luke safe. And Owen does not trust Jedi, you know, and that kind of way of life anyway, and Province kind of sees it as a destructive end and a destructive lifestyle to lead. And he, in his mind, he's doing what he thinks is best,
Yeah.
you know, for Luke. So yeah, he's it's kind of ironic where he would, you know, on one hand, Obi-Wan brought Luke to him and saved Luke, but on the other hand, Owen's trying to keep Obi-Wan away.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's fascinating. Like, one of the things that I was most looking forward to about this show was to see, you know, in A New Hope, when we meet Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, Owen is just this, like, he's you know, he's a good man, but he's also kind of a you know, he's not a, I don't know about a jerk, but he's kind of a surly old farmer, a surly old moisture farmer. And you know, he is looking out for Luke's best interest, what he believes is Luke's best interest. But you know, we see in that movie he doesn't trust old Ben Kenobi either. You know, he's a strange old hermit, and he also knows who Luke's father was. He's like, you know, Beru says he's got too much of his father in him, and Owen's like, I know, that's exactly what I'm afraid of. And so with that in mind, seeing Owen at this age, knowing Luke is Anakin's son, thinking Anakin is dead, but knowing that could very possibly be in Luke as well, he wants to keep him as far away from Obi-Wan as possible, because he knows that Anakin was Obi-Wan's apprentice, and there's a lot of distrust there, and honestly, probably for him, and like you said, Josh, the entire Jedi Order, the Jedi Order failed. They failed miserably,
like really badly,
really badly. Like, what's happening now is their fault. And so, and you know, and Rebels kind of goes into this some more, like how exactly the Empire treats farmers like Owen, like the Lars family. Like, we really see some of that. And so, like, I think I love this idea that we can see this transition now from a younger Owen to, you know, to where we first meet him as the surly moisture farmer in A New Hope. We see this transition a little bit, and we kind of see, like, these two great actors go, you know, Ewan McGregor and I'm kind of blanking on
Joel Edgerton.
Thank you, Joel Edgerton, going back and forth. They're both so good, and their scenes together were just so juicy. That
I want more. I want more.
I want way more of it. The whole, like, no, you're just waiting. You're just wondering if he's showing, like, and then he's like, what do you?
And I'm over here like, nobody thinking about Leia showing her powers. I mean, come on.
Right. Well,
she's clearly reading people's minds. People.
How much did you love Bale later when he was like, she's just as important as Luke, and you know that. I know, and then he's like, Bale totally calls out Ben, and he's like, this isn't about Luke, and you know it. Like, this is, and kind of me filling in the blanks there. This is about your this is about the stuff that you're dealing with, you know, and you're kind of using that as a crutch. And Leia is just as important. I love that Bale comes and finds him in person.
I love the moments of Leia when she's like literally looking at somebody, and she does it to Obi-Wan, and she's like, I don't remember her exact lines, but she does it to her cousin. She does it to several people, but where she kind of, I swear she's using the Force, and she's like looking into their mind, and like she says like, what you're hiding more than you trying to hide is actually showing more.
Right.
You know,
right. Your silence actually tells more.
And he's like, how old are you? You know, she's like, I'm 10.
By the way, when he said, how old are you? I was like, You know how old
Yeah.
she is. Like, why are you asking
But
me
I
that?
don't know. To me, I see that as hints of Leia being force sensitive.
I am
Possibly,
inclined
yeah.
to agree with you, and it may or may not be the case, but at this point, I'm absolutely inclined to agree with you, and I think it's completely. To me, it makes total sense that Leia would be a natural force user. You know, where she may not even know she's doing it, but as we see other force sensitive kids too, they experiment and they, you know, they're trying to figure
Yeah.
out who they are. And but I agree. I think Leia could very well be reading minds and her not even realizing what
Yeah,
she's
I don't think she knows it,
what
but that's
she's
totally you can
doing.
see as a little girl. Like
Um,
she's looking past something into them.
Yeah.
And even how they film it, I feel like they're intentionally filming it that way, where everything kind of slows down just like a little bit. And Ash says in the comments, it just reminded me how Leia is who Yoda wanted to train, and I see why.
Is that in the movies or is that in a book? I don't remember that being in the movies, but I could be wrong.
Um, I know he says there is another,
Right.
you
Obviously,
know,
he would know that.
but I don't know if he, with the sequels coming up, we don't know what he's referring to. Um,
I mean, I assume he's referring to Leia right there, but I guess,
yeah, but
Ash, just tell us, is that in a book? Because I think I've heard that before, and I feel like it's in a book, but I could be totally wrong. And it makes sense. It makes total sense. It is really interesting how, you know, from the begin. Okay, it's in a comic. In a comic, he said he wanted to train the girl and not the boy. Okay, interesting. Um, Yeah, it's really interesting. I've heard people bring up, like, man, wouldn't Leia have been the better one to train instead of Luke? I love that they're kind of dealing with that a little bit, and at least Bale saying she's just as important as Luke. What, like, this isn't about Luke. Like, what's going on? And so I love that they're dealing with that. I think this is a great segue. We need to talk about Alderaan and Leia and all of this. I think that this is the part of the episode that I was talking about earlier that totally shocked me. It surprised me. I did not see this coming. I don't know how. It makes total sense when you look at it. I didn't know Jimmy Smits had been cast to do Bail Organa again. I didn't know they cast a young Leia. I had no idea any of this was happening. But when that transition happened and we pan up and we see this beautiful planet with this city and the mountains behind it, I was like, I know that place. This is Alderaan.
mm-hmm.
And then they show the little girl, who we think is Leia.
And if you've read like the Leia book, you know, because of the braids, because they talk about that a lot.
You know, even what she wears, like that burgundy dress that she puts on at one point, that looks a lot like some things she wears when she's older.
In the Cloud City,
Cloud City,
yep,
yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
She totally did look like that. And but as soon as they showed the girl, as soon as they showed Leia kind of sitting in the trees looking at the ships, by the way, totally reminded me of there's the scene in the Bad Batch when we see young Hera Syndulla with Chopper looking up at the ships as they're taking off from her home planet. Totally reminded me of that. And I love that. But as soon as we see that actress, go ahead.
I think Leia gets enough credit because she's like knows what all these ships are, and like we forget, not only was her father one of the best pilots, her mother could pilot a starship as well, you know, and so I find it so interesting that even though like we talk about Leia in the original trilogy being such a strong female character, and it's the same time she's still so overlooked, you know, throughout her life, because they're like, okay, you're gonna follow in your mother and your other mother's footsteps, you know.
I love this.
Like
Ash says, similar to Luke, they both feel the call to adventure. Yeah. I mean,
so because like Padme was elected queen at a very young age, at like 14,
right.
Leia, being the daughter of the queen, so that's how it descends in Alderaan. It goes queen, it's a queen. So
Mhm.
he's not the king. It's literally the queen rules, and the daughter is going to be the queen. It doesn't go to male descendants. It goes
Right.
to the female
Mhm.
descendants.
Right.
Mhm.
And so, it's interesting that she's being set up to be a senator, to be a queen, like her mother and her adopted mother and her adopted father. But there's so much of Anakin in her, and I love seeing that in
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, and just seeing, kind of what her parents see in her at such an early age when Bale's talking to her, kind of reprimanding her for how she treated her cousin. But
He
I love
totally
how
deserved
Bale,
it.
I love it. And, you get the sense that when Bale's talking to her, that, like, I got the sense that Bale also was like, yeah, he totally deserved it, that little douche. And like,
Well, it's
I
almost
totally,
kind of like he's winking at her a little
Yeah.
bit,
Like,
to
just
just kind of like
100%.
apologize to make it better.
to
Yeah,
make your
what,
mom happy. Just apologize.
abs- absolutely. And so I love that, but I also love he sees leadership in Leia from such a young
Oh,
age, and she shows so clearly. I mean, like you brought up earlier, Obi-Wan was like, "How old are you? You don't act like 10. You don't act like you're 10." And she is she's so smart for her age, and so mature also, and she craves adventure. And so I just love the portrayal of Leia, and this young, what was her name, Vivian Lyra Blair. She was so good. Like, you know, kid actors can be hit or miss sometimes. You never know what you're gonna get. And I personally thought, like, of course she was adorable. Like, she's so cute, but she's also good. Like, I felt like she perfectly embodied. I saw Padme, and I also saw Carrie Fisher. Like, I saw the
yeah.
embodiment of older Leia and her mom and Padme. I saw both of those characters embodied, and just like, if those two characters were a little girl, this is what they would be. I
Yeah,
loved it.
I think that I mean, yeah, I mean, and I'm not going to nitpick. I promise. I'm actually saying this just to kind of make a quick point. There was some of the line delivery was a little, you know, off and everything and stilted, but I think it's also very obvious that she's coached too, because I think it's one of those things where I think it's very obvious that they're like, you're even at 10 years old, this is who you are. You're a strong, confident, opinionated person who's driven, knows who she is, what she wants. And I think
Right.
that especially like with actors, if you kind of drive that point home, you may have some lines that are kind of delivered in kind of a weird way here or there, but for the most part, I totally agree with you that that she, from like a spirit standpoint, she definitely embodied what she needed, to embody, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
she's Padme's daughter, and she's Leia, and she's the Leia that we know, um, from the original trilogy and from the sequels. And just as a side note, I think some of the best for Leia is actually in the sequels. Some of the best character work for Leia
Yeah.
is in the sequels, in my opinion, specifically The Last Jedi. But on that, but I make it a goal. The Last Jedi ends up in at least one of my comments every single time I am
I already
I am
used
on
mine.
one of
I
As I
already
take
used
a
mine.
drink.
I'm on one of these things. Oh yeah, but I saw the Fulcrum folks are
Yeah, yeah. Hey,
popped
Fulcrum,
in.
what's up, y'all? They said exactly what Jess was talking about. Fulcrum says, "I like how Leia already seems to feel and use the Force to read people." So that's another person who thinks the same thing. So I like that point a whole lot. I was
Which
think
is going to come from her father, you know?
right. So
And I love that. I love
as
it. I love the ship moment, because to me, I'm like, that is Anakin's child. And we see her
mm,
as Padme's child too, but I
yeah,
think we forget so much that Leia is Anakin's child just as much as Luke. You
absolutely.
know?
That adventure, like, she
And he's
clearly.
Padme's child just as much as
Yeah.
Leia is, you know,
and I'm trying to remember. There was a part earlier where at the very beginning when we meet or when we meet Leia, I can't remember, or right before, her mom is looking for Leia and she's like, check the blank, I can't remember the exact line, but check this place, and check the woods. Like, so like they know Leia is totally Padme's daughter, but she's totally Anakin's daughter. She craves adventure. And I wanted to bring up, I don't know why this part of this movie was rattling around in my head today as I was thinking about this episode. I couldn't help but think the girl who plays young Leia, you can just so see this young girl one day talking to Han Solo and him being like, come on, you want me to go because of the way you feel about me? And they're doing that whole thing in the hallway, and he's like, would you think I would leave without giving you a goodbye kiss? And she's like, what did she say? I would soon kiss a Wookiee. And I could just totally see her saying, I just assume kiss a Wookiee.
Like a nerve herder.
Yeah, all of that. I can just see this young actress, this young Leia, saying those words. I've obviously as an older person, it's so Leia. I think she's doing such a good job. But man, I'm loving this. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say, I was gonna point out another comment from Ash. You know, she's like, I want to see full-fledged Jedi Knight Leia, and I agree. I mean, because we know, for example, from the Rise of Skywalker that she was training at one point, had a lightsaber, but she put it away, and she would never pick it up again until Ben came back.
Right.
It was kind of her way of mourning him and everything. And so there is a time period where Leia, is actively training, and she decides to give it up time. And so
I wonder if she would have been more powerful.
She would have been more stable.
Look at what she did in The Last Jedi when she got blown out of a ship, which is, frankly, I love, by the way, and no one can tell me otherwise, that scene is so perfect for Leia. And I won't go into that anymore, but I think that's a great scene for her.
What movie is that?
It's from The Last Jedi. Jessica's drinking again. So, and I agree, guys. Like, I was not expecting much of a focus on Leia, and I love that they're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ash said earlier that's the only way she could see Obi-Wan getting off of Tatooine, and I really agree. Like, Belle coming to him and pleading with him is really the only way I could see him really.
There's no other way. Completely natural. There's no other way he was gonna leave.
How do we not see it coming? Like, we know beforehand, we saw the trailer and we saw that Obi-Wan leaves the planet, and we're thinking, what could possibly get him to abandon his mission, at least temporarily, and go off world? Like, I'm really interested to see how they're going to do that. Of course, Leia. It's such a no-brainer.
I don't even think he does it for Bail. Even he said, "Do it for her," and one last mission for her. And I think he's talking about Padme. And I think that's when he literally was like,
I didn't think about that.
Okay.
I didn't either. I love that, Gus. You're really bringing up a few things that I did not see it that way.
I mean, he literally says one last mission for her, like, do it for her, and it's Padme, because it's Padme's daughter. I mean, Anakin, but you know what I mean. Like,
I love, later on in the second episode, you had that moment where they're walking around and she says some things, and Obi-Wan stops, and he's just like, "You remind me of someone." And an old friend. She was what did he say? I have it written down.
He mentioned that she had
she said why'd you stop? And he says, nothing. You just remind me of someone. She was fearless too, and stubborn. And she's like, I'm not stubborn. Okay.
Padme, 100%.
And
she's being stubborn about being called.
Yeah. And I just love that this show is kind of going, we always think of Padme and Anakin, but Padme and Obi-Wan were also friends, and
Obi-Wan knew.
Obi-Wan knew the whole time. Like
I don't know if he
was
knew
like,
the whole time, but there's definitely
according to the Clone Wars,
but
he knew for a long time.
He knew for a long time. Like
Yeah.
in the Clone Wars, like there's times that he even like kind of calls Anakin out on it, and it's like hilarious. Yeah.
At least tell Padme I said hello, like that.
Yeah.
That moment in the Siege of Mandalore. I think that it's really cool that they're kind of going into like, yeah, Padme was also his friend, and it's really cool that I did not pick up that subtext there, Jess. Well done. I love that. That's really cool.
I think you could be on that. I think.
Yeah.
Now that I'm kind of thinking through the 2 episodes and kind of just the subtext there with Padme being brought up later, I think that could very well be the case.
Yeah. And I love, so finishing up this episode, going at the end of the episode, first of all, Obi-Wan's sense of direction and like, it's like he has an internal GPS. How in the world did he find exactly the spot that he buried the sabers?
Okay, so I thought about that.
Okay.
And I have a very Star Wars explanation for this. Because even in Tatooine, there's when the sand is going to move. He has a connection to the kyber crystal through the Force. Okay. So that is going to guide him to his lightsaber. And so that's an easy, that's how he could find it.
I can go there. That's not outrageous.
I'm just glad a sandworm didn't eat it or something.
Yeah.
No, that's a different franchise.
Yeah, he'd have to like a crate dragon.
Ash agrees with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that. That was really, so seeing him, shovel them and unbury the sabers was pretty symbolic, and
I like how they're bringing that in too.
Yeah,
bringing that in as a thing.
Showing, what do you mean, Josh?
Because at the end, it's like they're for different reasons, but at the end of the Rise of Skywalker,
oh yeah,
she buries them in the Tatooine sand ceremonially, kind of
in cloth too, in a box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so they're bringing that. They're kind of bringing that concept further into canon and kind of like almost like a Jedi. Yeah. Again, they were for different reasons, but almost like a ceremonial kind of.
Well, I think Obi-Wan was burying who he was. He was burying the Jedi part of him along with his brother, Jess. Anakin. Yep. The lightsaber was the last thing he had. As far as he knew, he died.
That's so good, Jess. Yeah, that's so good. And then so the symbolism of him unburying them is super powerful. And also, it's cool to see like.
And Anakin's is right there, too.
Anakin's right there. Anakin's saber's right there with his. And it's so cool seeing, obviously that's symbolic too. But, we've always known in A New Hope, he has Anakin's saber. It's kind of cool to see like him in possession of the saber here too. That wasn't just a detail they forgot. Like this is there. And I love that too. But Jess, that's really great insight there. I love that. Seeing him unbury that and, I love that one shot going like as he decide, the lady asks, so are you boarding or are you not? And then he's like, yes. And then the camera pans down and we see him kind of show his lightsaber. He shows us his lightsaber. Like that's kind of what's going on. And it's just like Obi-Wan is coming back. It's slow. He's not there yet, but he's coming. And I loved it. I think that episode 1 for me was one of for me it's one of the best Star Wars Disney Plus episodes yet, in my opinion. I loved it so much. Had one qualm with it. I had one qualm with it. Yeah. The chase. Okay, so let's just talk about this.
I have a hard time with it too.
It's bad.
I'm a small person. I'm a small kid. So like I was a small kid, so I get kind of like she's also small because Leia was like petite, you know, so she's
Yeah.
a smaller kid. And so, like, I get they were trying to let go with like that she's like hiding under things and running through little
Well, not
things
only
that
also like
cute.
she's also knows that terrain better than they
Yeah, I
do. So
get
I
it,
can
but
go
there's
there a little bit.
so many points where I'm
I
like,
know.
they could have grabbed her right
But
there, like,
I know.
They're
Then
like-
they just kind of.
They're like
Like,
flailing
and
around.
she's totally running like Jack Sparrow, and I'm
Like-
here for it.
Yeah. So like I think there's something about the way there's something about the way that it was filmed, because like they could have fixed it a little bit by like, you know, she's
editing,
first of all,
like,
first
The
of all,
angles, maybe,
first
I
of
don't
all,
know.
the person that she
The
meets in the
angles were
wood,
off.
first of all, the person that she meets in the woods is Flea from the Chili Peppers. I don't know if y'all knew that, but it's ridiculous.
I knew he looked familiar.
Yeah, that was
No.
Flea. Yeah.
That's crazy. I was like, where?
Why does he look so familiar? But
I've
I
seen
think
this
they
ugly
could have.
mug before.
I think they could have just fixed it by all they needed to do was him not chase her right away, and him just like do a calm and say, "She's coming your way," and then don't show them so close behind her. It shows that they're so close behind her, and they're like clearly running slower to look like they're chasing her. There's no way any adult bounty hunter runs that slow. So it's just filmed in a really bad way. I don't know. Like I personally thought Deborah Chow directed really well through these first 2 episodes. That chase was super bad. it really,
I think
really
it was probably just one of those cuts, and maybe they didn't have time to you know, schedules being the way they are. But like, take a hint from like in the Lord of the Rings when the hobbits are being chased.
Oh
right?
man,
It doesn't feel or look goofy at all. They're hiding. There's quick cuts. There's there's more filming kind of like from the waist up. Sometimes there's a lot of mystery and everything, and so kind of how those chase scenes, like when the hobbits are being chased by the ring wraiths, is kind of what comes to mind. It's like if you're dealing with really small people being chased by a much faster antagonist, those are but I mean, ultimately that's literally like a 15-second 20-second scene out of an otherwise pretty well put together episode. And so it's just kind of like, man, like y'all like why are we like harping on like that only, and then kind of applying that to the entire episode, seeing that a lot already. And I'm just kind of like, it's kind of like when people, to me, it's like when people complain about Canto Bight in The Last Jedi. It's like Last Jedi is a 2.5-hour movie. Altogether, Canto Bight lasts maybe 5 minutes.
Thanks,
altogether. And yet they like 10 minutes tops in a 2.5-hour movie.
This needs to be a game. We gotta
people,
start it.
But people pretend it's 45 minutes or
right,
like
and it's not.
It's
It's absolutely not. And so. I think Canto Bight has redeeming qualities, but we've done an episode on that. We have a really great A Certain Point of View episode on that.
Go
in about episode. By the way, it's from The Last Jedi.
Shameless plug.
Awesome. But anyway, yeah. So now we get to episode 2.
By the way, really quick before episode 2. Oh, sorry, I clicked on this on accident. Ash says every time TLJ is mentioned, Jess drinks. Ash groans.
Yeah, it's a joke we came up with.
A joke.
Like we should have a drinking
but
game.
She did bring this up though. She says there's a lot of rhyme with Obi and Rey making the insta food and sitting and staring out at the desert landscape. I thought. Ash, I was literally going to bring up this thought a minute ago, and we went down a different place. I saw that insta food looking out at the landscape. It was so Rey, and I'm so glad that I'm not the only one that thought that.
I thought that too. I love it.
Yeah, big time. Great. Okay, Josh, you look like you had a thought going into episode 2. How do we feel about episode 2?
I mean, I really liked episode 1, but like I said, I lean more towards the second episode. Enough, Obi-Wan going off world, I think, is kind of Ash mentioned it felt completely justified and natural for him to do that.
Totally agree.
And we got a lot more character development out of him on in that episode too. Because he was still kind of dealing with this. It's not like it was this big. There was some action in it, but frankly, it wasn't like this huge action-packed.
And it was good
because
it was good action too.
The action was good, but it's like one of the first times you're kind of seeing Obi-Wan not the first time, but he's not using a lightsaber. He's not
using the Force.
He's using a blaster, which, as was mentioned previously, he does not prefer to use, but he's using it to kind of stay hidden. And so, so he leaves to go do a favor for Bail, for Padme, for Leia, really all the above. And I agree that it's basically the only thing that would have got him off world. I love, by the way, Ash just said about when Obi-Wan meets that faker of a Jedi, who frankly I just wanted to punch him in the face the entire time. Like had Obi-Wan accidentally ignited his lightsaber, whoops. I don't think I would have really I don't think I would have. Whoops.
The first time I was
such a pity.
Oh my gosh. Obi-Wan, everything he's gone through, and here's this guy faking all this stuff. And then the second time I watched it, I found it a little bit more humorous. But
no,
I thought he was funny.
And it's kind of this interesting dichotomy, though, too, where it's like Obi-Wan's hiding the Force. He's not using it. He's not the man he used to be. He doesn't feel like a Jedi anymore. And right in front of him is some poser pretending like he's a Jedi, and wielding undue influence and power, on pretending to be a Jedi. And so it's just a really
Josh.
It's just a really interesting contrast.
Yeah. And I liked how the guy, I can't, his name, Haja, I think is his name.
Jerky McJerkface.
Yeah, Jerky McJerkface. I like how he was like, I am helping people, but they're just a little poorer. Whenever after I help them, they're just a little poorer. I was like, oh my gosh. But he did ultimately help Obi-Wan get off planet, and I thought that was good. But yeah, he was an interesting character. I don't know entirely how I feel about him. I do like Kumail Nanjiani. I think he's really good. I think he's hilarious.
He's almost a DJ character, actually.
Yeah, kind of.
He kind of pops in, is out. He causes a moral conundrum.
And he says, I can do it.
I mean, he's kind of that vibe, really.
I can do it.
I liked him. I thought that was kind of I thought he was an interesting character.
But Ash is right. Whenever he's Obi-Wan's face while watching the fake mind trick, and he's like, that's not how that works. He's like, I know you're a poser. And he finds the magnets, and he's like, it was really good. I liked that. I like this episode. Like I said, I like the first one better, personally. But excuse me, man, peanuts. I liked. I said peanuts.
Yeah, but no one knows that you've been eating peanuts. I only know that because you were eating them.
That's a big. That is he's just sitting there munching on peanuts randomly, the whole time.
I'm starving. Okay. No, I did enjoy this episode. Oh, by the way, guys, we have to talk. We have not even remotely mentioned the Inquisitors, hardly at all.
Yeah, we gotta talk about that.
We do have to talk about the Inquisitors. First of all, does anybody hear anybody talking about the size of the Grand Inquisitor's head?
I do not care.
No,
and in fact, in action in the show, it looks
that's what I'm saying.
Normal and fine to me.
That's what I'm saying. Why don't we hear people talking about the size of his head? It's because the performance.
They're too busy complaining about another powerful female character. Mic drop.
Well, you could be right, but also because Rupert Friend is doing a great job.
He just knocks it. He just absolutely knocks it out of the park.
He is portraying the Grand Inquisitor absolutely beautifully. It's such a different performance than Jason Isaacs, but it's also equally terrifying when that opening scene where the opening scene of the episode, him walking off that ship, walking through town and into the bar, and just like he's instantly showing how much of a threat he is, the way that he, calls out the bar owner, slowly but surely there's this threat building, and it becomes clear that there's a Jedi hiding in the bar and that this bar owner's kind of been protecting him. And, the way that the Grand Inquisitor is portrayed in that scene is absolutely terrifying.
He gave the classic villain monologue.
He
did. He delivered it really well.
Caught me
and I wasn't sure if they were going to have it, but I'm glad. Like they, it was probably added in post too. But like you close up, you see, his Sith eyes and everything. And I know some people were kind of like, which I kind of understand. I know like some of the production stills and everything, it's like he just looked like a dude with some makeup on. But again, that's why you have to withhold it until you see like something in action and actually in context of the show, because he was really scary and his eyes were scary and he was intimidating and and everything, and did her job. Not that we want to jump super far ahead, but it's going to kind of be interesting to see what happens to him, if anything.
So that is a big conundrum right now amongst the fandom, because we know in Rebels,
that's
he's
true.
alive in Rebels, which is later. So everybody's freaking out because they like de-canonized Rebels in this one action.
They wouldn't do that. Like Rebels is canon forever.
They wouldn't do that. They're literally bringing all of the characters from Rebels into Ahsoka.
Well, actually, a friend of mine made a really, really interesting point. I think he's right. Ahsoka is the Rebels. Ahsoka is the sequel series to Rebels, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, it basically is. Absolutely. Yeah. That's what it looks like. And so, like, they're validating Rebels across the board. But as Ash says, somehow the Grand Inquisitor has returned. He's not dead. We've seen people be cut in half and survive. We've seen...
Anakin was burned with lava.
People burned with lava and survive. We've seen people with stomach... Like people be shot in the stomach.
Fennec Shand.
And the mod kind of helped her. She survived. He's going to be fine. He's either he's not dead or he is dead, and that's not the same Grand Inquisitor. So, wait. Ash says also his species has 2 stomachs. I did not
Interesting,
know that.
So do I.
There's no way, you're too skinny. Dude, that's crazy. Ash, I did not know that.
Just have a like waistband.
So I think for me, they are, God bless you, Jess. Jess just sneezed, just for those listening. He's not dead. I have no doubt in my mind. Everybody's freaking out about nothing, and I really don't think he is. And either that, or like I said,
why they had to go and do that? People are already irritated about people coming back. Like, why they have to quote unquote kill him and then he doesn't die? I mean, let's just stroke up all the toxic Star Wars people. You know what I mean?
But don't play to them. Write the story you want to write. And if people whine about it, they're gonna whine. I don't care. I just
but that's
don't
literally
play
just
to them.
Here, whine about this. Like, here, we're giving you this on a silver platter.
I think she needed to hurt him bad enough to where he could not just her like knocking him out wouldn't have felt believable to me, but her stabbing him in the stomach felt more believable for me. Like I don't know, just that's just me. But yeah, okay, so we're talking a lot about that's my thoughts on the Grand Inquisitor. I don't think he's dead. I would bet money on it. How do y'all feel about Reva? So for me, I think that especially on the second watch, I liked her character better. I feel like she's overacting a little bit here and there. It's not a I think it's more of a thing where it's just some of the direction that they chose to take her as far as the performance. It doesn't feel quite right at certain points, but I like the character and I like what she's doing. I just feel like she's relatively one note a bit. And I kind of want to see more. And we might see more, but as so far she's not the best, but I like her.
I think she's overcompensating. I can't say that word right now.
Well,
Overcompensating.
Overcompensating. I think she's overcompensating. I think that her backstory is gonna be so freaking cool and crazy. Like, I think that she was like a youngling or a Padawan, and because she says getting what I'm owed, and like I feel like maybe she helped Anakin in the temple. This is a random theory that I just am throwing out here. I'm like wondering if her as a kid like helped Anakin in the temple during Order 66. So
And by the way, we
like,
see that group of kids at the beginning during Order 66, and one of those is pretty clear that one of those, the way that she's in the center of the shot,
yes,
that's her. That's Reva.
But I think she did something to help Anakin Vader. But from where she came from, they treat her horribly, so she comes across, she's overcompensating for how she's being treated and trying to be like, that's what I think. There's something there, and there's a reason why they're having her
possibly, yeah, absolutely
portray this character in this way.
I think there's more to her than meets the eye, 100%.
I agree.
And I also think that we're gonna fully know why she would even know that Darth Vader is in fact Anakin Skywalker. People may be bugged about that right now. I think there's going to be a story explanation for that, because we're about to learn more about her and what she's all about and what she knows and why she kind of has this chip on her shoulder. There is a reason, and people need to be patient. Like, stories unfold for a reason. They're mysteries, and you learn things as you go along that typically in a good story ends up answering those big questions that you have. And so, you gotta calm down. You just gotta calm down a little bit.
Do y'all remember when The Mandalorian started, when we find out in the show, the Mandalorians are portrayed as a race of people who keep their helmets on and never take their helmets off. And I remember at the beginning when everybody started watching the show, and that happened, everybody was like, wait, we've seen the Clone Wars, we've seen Rebels, we know Mandalorians don't all keep their helmets on. Why is this inconsistent with canon? There a lot of people were really frustrated. We find out in season 2 that Din is a part of a religious cult, essentially. That sect of Mandalorians is the only one that really does that. And we meet Bo-Katan again, and then we see, the point there is, there's a story there. They're not just going to, I think we're meant to be, I think as a fandom watching this, we're meant to be asking, how does she know that Anakin and Vader are the same person? Right. How does she know? We're meant to ask that, and we're not meant to be pissed about it.
Yeah, to me, it has to mean that she knew him before he became Vader. So she had to have known him during Order 66, like, or know who he was, or helped him in some way, and then somehow knew. And because she helped him, and because she's hiding his identity, maybe she feels like she's owed something. You know, like, I don't know. To me, it didn't make me upset either. It just made me go, I wanted to learn more about her. I got excited about her backstory. Like, why is she so aggressive?
Yeah.
Why is she so the way that she is? There's a reason, and it's, like, I just was like, there's going to be a good Star Wars story behind this. And it made me excited instead of being mad like everybody else. Not everybody else, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Ash brings up something here, and it really makes sense to me. She says Vader. She goes, she's Vader's plant within the Inquisitors, and that makes sense on a couple of levels. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Kind of why she would know that. It could make sense why she knows that he's Anakin, although even Tarkin didn't know. Like they never talked to each other. I don't think, and he knew possibly, but they never talked as you were Anakin.
I kind of assumed that Tarkin knew he was Anakin. I don't know.
I think that it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was kind of like he kind of knew, but they never actually confronted that with each other. But anyway, it could make sense that she's his plant within the Inquisitors, and that could also make sense why she's so fixated on Obi-Wan, because Vader's fixated on Obi-Wan still. And so I don't know. It could make a lot of sense. I like that theory. It could be wrong, but I like that. That's a good theory.
It's completely plausible.
Yeah, very plausible. But
she probably out there looking for Ahsoka too.
Yep. And by the way,
That's the case.
Everything we've seen, most of the trailers that have come out, we've seen most of that at this point. We haven't seen, what's it called? Something Inquisitoris. I can't remember what the name of the place that the Inquisitors go with the water. We haven't seen that yet.
With the water.
With the water. But we've seen just about everything else in the trailers, meaning probably we're going to get that in this next one, but like we don't know, just about everything else is going to be totally new. Like we don't know what's coming next. I'm so excited. Back to episode 2. We had to talk about the Inquisitors for a bit. Oh, by the way, Sun Kang as the 5th brother is so good. I like that performance a lot, and how he's interacting. He's very intimidating, and how he's interacting with Reva. I really like his performance as well, and I think he might get overlooked, but I just wanted to make sure we talked about him for a second at least.
So, I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
And this might be getting to the end of what we're going to talk about, but I'm just like so curious. What do you guys think about in the storyline Obi-Wan knowing that Vader is Anakin?
What do we think about?
Like, how do you feel about that? Like, so that him knowing in A New Hope for sure,
yeah,
that's who that is and that sort of thing.
I always thought that anyway. Like I always thought that he knew anyway. So
did you think that, Josh?
Sense. Yeah, it makes sense. You know,
I thought he assumed. I don't think I ever thought that he like had it confirmed. So
no, it always made sense to me. Like obviously,
this show will help with that.
It's confirmed.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, it always made sense. He talks about, he was a pupil of mine before he turned to evil. He betrayed and murdered your father. Yeah. He talked about that, but then later when he talks to Luke from the Beyond, it's very clear that Obi-Wan was kind of using semantics talking to Luke.
Well, yeah, that's where our name, a certain point of view, was true.
Exactly. So yeah, I always just kind of assumed Obi-Wan knows, but like how he knows has always been a bit of a mystery.
So
and now
I guess I'll rephrase the question. How do you feel about this is the way he finds out?
I like it. I really like it because it makes total sense. Like at the end of Revenge of the Sith, he would think that Anakin is dead. right? He would think that Anakin is dead
I
because he's
guess. I mean, he
walking.
left him screaming
He
in
left him.
pain.
He literally turned around and walked away while he was screaming and on fire. and and so in his mind, I think he just knew that he was dead. And so he didn't know that Palpatine was going to go find him and like make him into, more machine than man and all that stuff. He didn't know that. And so this whole time I love the idea that, and even confirms, Owen says later, he's like you trained his father? Anakin is dead, Ben. Like, that's confirmed right there. I like the thought that this entire time, the reason why Ben felt so much shame was because, like, not only did he fail Anakin on as a master, not only did the Jedi Order fail on a monumental level and basically be why this happened, but he also was the reason why Anakin was dead in his mind. And so it works for me on an emotional level.
Yeah,
And
I like
so
it too.
that,
I was just
and then,
curious.
yeah, absolutely. And then Ewan McGregor's performance in that moment when he finds out that not only is Anakin alive, but he's Vader, it is an incredible performance. And I don't know, I'm loving it. I love that part, that whole side of it. I think it's great. But yeah, any other thoughts on episode 2? I feel like there's some other stuff. There's a second chase scene in episode 2, and it's not as bad. I didn't think it was nearly as bad because
It's not as bad, but it's still not great.
I mean, listen, it's
I
not
get
great,
that
but
he was
it's
trying to keep a low profile, but if he was
exactly.
trying to keep a low profile, he wouldn't have shot people in the marketplace.
Exactly. He's not trying to shoot people. He's not trying to run and make a scene. He's
But
trying
he does
to
shoot people.
But
That's my point.
he shoots people in that scene
Yes.
in the middle of the market?
Yes.
I don't think so. I think he's
Yes,
chasing.
he does. I literally
No, he's
just watched
chasing
it right
Leia.
before this.
He's
He
chasing.
does.
He's chasing Leia.
Yeah,
He's
and
not
then
trying
some
to
of the
shoot
bounty
anyone.
hunters come to him and he shoots them, and then he runs away through the market and is like, Leia, Leia, where are you?
I don't remember him shooting. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, I don't know. For me, that one's not as bad because Obi-Wan's clearly trying to keep a lower profile, and so he's not going to be running full speed like an adult. That I feel like the first episode one was much more egregious.
But also, if he was trying not to get her caught, I think he would rather himself get caught if that meant him shooting people. He doesn't have her in his possession, so therefore she still escapes somehow. So it still kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So it didn't bother me very much, but I've seen a lot of stuff on that fight, on that chase as well, and to me, like, okay, could they do better on these chase sequences? They could, but that one is not nearly as egregious as the first one. It's fine. It's whatever.
And it's not a deal breaker.
Yeah, exactly. Any other thoughts on episode 2? Obviously, we haven't talked about it as much. We've kind of have in passing, but like certain parts of it. But
I actually just want to comment on the just kind of the overall aesthetic and look and feel of it. I thought it was gorgeous, actually.
Yeah.
And I'm always with seeing, like, it really reminded me of kind of the market level in Coruscant, with all kind of like the neon lights and the bartering and everything. And I just I love that for some reason. Like, I just but I just think the whole episode is just like visually, I think it was really gorgeous. Frankly, like shot pretty well. Visual effects were good. The lighting was great. The editing for the most part was solid. And I just really liked the tone and feel of of the whole episode. And that drew me in, like that kind of consistency,
Yeah.
Really kind of like drew me into the episode and made me kind of invested in what was going on. Cause that's part of what world building, is about. And there is a tiny Wookiee in here.
Hey, Max.
Yeah. So I wanted to comment on that, just how like good I thought the episode looked. And actually, I think it was better directed than the first episode, personally. But I the more I think about the first episode, and the more we talk, and the more I hear you guys talking, the more just talk through it myself, I'm like finding in even more stuff.
Yeah.
To like about that. Why I enjoy, doing things like this.
Yeah, man.
But I just really like the look and feel of the episode, and all the interplay between him and Leia.
Yeah.
The references to Padme, obviously. You know, the fake Jedi, who apparently ends up being kind of good in the end, and
Yeah. I think ultimately, like, this is kind of
the Velociraptor bounty hunter. What the heck was that?
I know, he totally
Dude,
looks
he
like
pulls
a
up and he's like, and then I'm like, shoot her, and I was like, clever girl, and so I was just like, dude, I
would have paid money to see your face.
I freaking love, like, all of a sudden there's like a Velociraptor holding a freaking gun, and I'm like, this is the best thing I have ever seen. And then he ends up with he ends up out with Obi-Wan later. They're like, that's the bounty out of all of them. That's the one that they choose to have a shootout.
I thought your sentence was winding down, and then you were like, a Velociraptor bounty hunter.
No, oh my gosh! Like when Star Wars does that stuff to me, it like freaks me out. Like in a really, really good way.
This is a great line. Ash says, I'm your father, and you're my daughter. And she's like, grandfather, maybe.
Yeah.
He's like, more like grandfather.
I love her little quips. Like, she's just
so
she also was saying that, and I was kind of thinking the same thing. I thought of Knights of the Old Republic, but how that planet made her think of Nar Shaddaa. And that's in the second Knights of the Old Republic game, and it did make me feel kind of like that too. And also him using a breath mask totally made me feel like that game, because that's like so important in so many places in that game. When he throws the spice and then he puts the mask on, I'm like, it's Kotar, man.
That was a cool way to get out of there. That was
cool. Oh, he throws that and puts the mask on, and then like, oh yeah, that was so great. And then you cut back to Flea, and he's like super high later,
which is like on brand. But
it's pretty much on brand, I think.
But yeah, it's like, it shows that even though Obi-Wan at that point in time is not using the Force, he's still like really resourceful and quick thinking, and and everything, and so that was really cool how he did that. I mean, there are just little nuggets all throughout that episode that I just really liked. I think it was well paced, kept me interested the whole time, and there was character development throughout it. It looked really cool. There was some cool action. There was a Velociraptor bounder, and all in all, I think what a good time with Star Wars. Frankly.
I agree, man. I think that's, honestly, dude, I think that's what it is. Like, for me, episode 1, there was just so much just deep goodness to talk about. Yeah. And this episode is really good. It's a lot of fun. But I don't have a whole lot of things to say about it, other than like, it was really cool and really fun, and there's a lot of emotional stuff at the end. And we see Vader in his like Bacta tank, which is really great. But there's just not quite as much to talk about with this one, for me at least. But I think episode 1 for me was the stronger one. But I really, like, if I was to give them a number ranking or rating, I would probably say episode 1 was a 9, and this would be like a 7.5 or an 8, which is still super good. I really enjoyed both of them.
I want to go back and watch it too, and I will. But I think the meat is between some of the conversations that him
Yeah.
are having. I think that that's where the depth, is coming in when they're developing her, they're bringing him through kind of his thought process on kind of where everything is at. And really, in some ways, like this 10-year-old girl, she's pulling him out of his shell.
Yeah, man.
She's pulling him to kind of come to terms with kind of the lie that he's living. Which I just think is a really interesting, and who better to do that than Leia, Padme's daughter, and where she says, and I don't mean to butcher the line, but she says something about how gosh, what did she say? She says that something about, you think by not saying much, you're
something like you're keeping you're hiding, you think you're hiding information by keeping silent, but in reality you're actually giving more away, or something
you're giving
like that.
more away.
Jess brought it up earlier.
Yeah, you did. And I think that was like a gut punch, in a way to him. So just a lot of good with the episode. Of course, every time I see a lightsaber ignite is a good episode. Just in general, not that I need Star Wars to have lightsabers, but it's kind of just always a plus to see one light up. And
it's always fun.
I also thought it was a really, really good idea, by the way, to make that scene where he's hiding at the end, where he's hiding from Visitor and from Reva, to not have them fight.
Yes.
At that point in time, I think it was like a really good decision. Like first of all, he's not ready. In fact, she would kill him.
You might
very
be right.
Possibly, very, very possible. I don't know. I'm not going to assume, but he had catching Leia. He exerted a bit more effort than he would have in the past. Just even Leia, and keeping her from falling. That was probably the first time he had used them actively in like 10 years.
Dude, how powerful was that? After you seeing him in the place, seeing him in the place that he's in, reminiscent, like we talked about, reminiscent of Luke in The Last Jedi. Take a drink. Reminiscent of that, and seeing him in that place and where he's
I'm
at.
Out.
You drank it all because of us. So seeing him in that place, that really dark place, and seeing, like you said, Josh, Leia's kind of pulling him back out of himself a bit, and seeing him, there's obviously, he has no choice. He's got to save her life. And seeing the energy exerted into saving her, and I don't know, that was a really powerful moment for me. I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I totally forgot about it, and then I remembered. That's such a powerful, really, really great moment.
There's a bunch of seemingly small things that happen throughout the episode that kind of build up to, to something bigger. But, when Reva says, I can sense your fear. Like, how often has Obi-Wan been afraid? Not really very often. It's that's not really his MO. Fear is not Obi-Wan's thing. Like, it just isn't. He's cavalier, and he's rarely afraid.
Yeah.
And he was, in this moment. He was like, I'm being hunted by Sith. I've basically been out of commission for a decade. I love how he even he pulls out his lightsaber, and it's almost like, do I even remember how to use this thing? Again, like, because he have to, and you're like, oh, bad idea. Really, probably a bad idea right now. And it's almost like it's almost like he doesn't recognize it. Like he has it on its person, but this is the first time he's like drawn it out, knowing that he may be thrust into an actual fight, with it. And of course, to protect her, he would do it. To protect Leia, he would do it. But he did not have to, luckily. And, Reva is it Reva? It's Reva, right?
I believe it's Reva, yes.
Her, Sith are always acting on their emotions and passions and everything like that. And so the of that whole thing is like her stabbing the Inquisitor out of anger gives Obi-Wan the ability to kind of
he
scurry
takes
off
advantage of her mistake, really.
Right, of her right, and he takes advantage of that, and because had she not done that, he probably would have been toast. And so I'm really looking forward to where episode 3 is going to go. I think Ash made a really good point. She kind of views them as one episode. It's like act 1, right? So the first two episodes, act 1, and you have act 2 and act 3. And so, we're a third of the way through at this point.
Your favorite act is coming, Josh. the middle is coming. It's your favorite.
Yes, the middle is usually where all the really crushing things occur, like just destruction, like just
destruction of our souls.
Yeah, so I'm really, like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next and kind of how things look when he gets back to Tatooine and and to see it's even possible for him to try to get back to his so-called normal life. At this point, probably not.
No. Well, what I love is that clearly, like at the end of this series, I think it is a mini series. I think there will only be 6 episodes. I don't think there will be another season or anything like that. That's kind of what I'm planning on. And obviously we don't. Yeah, I mean they could change their mind.
With you, obviously fan speculation goes wild when he goes, man, when he even says that he'd like to see it might be an episode or season 2, but that could just be him. Being sentimental about it.
Yeah. But this is clearly like, I think at the end of this series, he's going to go through a journey and we're going to see him get more right now he's way off the path, and I think at the end of this series will be on the path to being where Alec Guinness is, where we see Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan in A New Hope, 9 years later.
Because he becomes the hermit again.
He becomes the hermit, but he's really at peace. He's very much at peace, and he does know who he is. And even though he still goes by Ben Kenobi, he's very much he knows his mission and he knows who he is. And I'm excited to see, this is not that Ben. This Ben right here, this is not that Ben. And I'm excited to see him kind of get back on that path and what it takes. I have to think Qui-Gon is I have to think that Qui-Gon comes in and he kind of helps him get back to there. And I think that's going to be a really emotional, pivotal point in the show. Gosh, I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for said Qui-Gon's, Qui-Gon's only in one movie, essentially, and he's one of my favorite Jedi and just favorite characters in general in Star Wars. And because he's kind of a rebel, but he still is very virtuous and does what he thinks is right, but he does what he thinks is right, even when that's challenged. And so And Qui-Gon John just, man, we could just talk for hours and hours about Qui-Gon and his he was way more like when he's instructing Obi-Wan, which it's going to be interesting to kind of see if this kind of stuff comes up again. But Qui-Gon was much more about like the living force and following the living force, and he was about like rules and rules and regulations. Not that there weren't some, and he did as many as he felt like he could that made sense, but
he disagreed with the council and on many occasions. He didn't feel like he didn't feel like the council was following the will of the force all the time, that he felt like they were getting too involved in the politics and all that stuff. I think.
Yeah. And so I like Qui-Gon's kind of forcefully, okay, that's funny.
Obi-Wan has forced ED. Emotional distress. Get your mind out of the gutter. Thanks, Ash. That's great. Good Lord. Yeah, I'm super excited. I think this is going to be really great. So one last little thought I had. How powerful, I think I brought this up in the chat, I can't remember, but how powerful is it now knowing that Leia knows Obi-Wan as Ben at this early stage in her life? How much more powerful is it now that we know that she names her son Ben later? I just think that's so, because she didn't.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
I think that's so cool. It adds a layer that I didn't know I needed, And I always thought in my mind, I was like, that's really interesting that she doesn't. In my mind, she didn't know Ben Kenobi. She knew Obi-Wan. She called him Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope. She didn't know him as Ben, and so I was always like, that's really interesting that they named him Ben. Because I know Ben Kenobi, but I love the idea now that she knows him as Ben, and she names her son Ben. I think that's such a beautiful thing. It's really
right,
cool.
And she knows that he goes by that too, because even when Luke shows up and says, "I'm here with Ben Kenobi," like, Ben Kenobi, where?
Ben Kenobi, where? Yeah,
she knows he's
that's so true.
She knows that he's gone by that name.
Wow, I forgot about that. Ben Kenobi, where is he?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Michael, you just sounded like Mickey Mouse.
Specifically asked for Obi-Wan
Ben Kenobi, where is he?
Yeah.
I'm very specific for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Who's this Ben guy?
Yeah.
Sounds like great value to me. I don't know.
Yeah, Ash said that basically right as you were saying that, Josh. Great call. I didn't even think about that. Ben Kenobi, where is he? That's great.
Oh, sorry, Ash. Yeah, sorry. Ash and I are literally just wavelengths connected at the same time. It's pretty incredible.
All right, guys. So let's wrap it up. We've been going for over 2 hours now. Honestly, I kind of thought we might go 3, so this is great. I
would have been like,
guys, I gotta go.
I gotta go to bed too.
Yeah, so this is a great time to wrap it up. Any final thoughts, Jess? Any final thoughts on the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan and where you feel like it's going?
Well, this is not about Obi-Wan, but we're just talking about Ben.
Sorry,
and
you're right.
Leia
I was talking about the
son
show. The show is called Obi-Wan. Shut up.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I did see Star Wars Celebration that Disney announced that Ben Solo's saber is retiring soon. The Legacy saber. So, for people out there that want that, my friend has it. It is sick. It is so cool. So, for those of them people that want that, you need to get it now before
They're
it's
retiring
gone.
Ben Solos.
Yeah,
Meaning
but
you
they'll
can't
bring it
buy
back.
it. Meaning you won't be. It's like going in the vault, essentially, like the old the Disney movies used to go before
Yeah,
Disney
so
Plus.
like the
Then it's
Ahsoka
gonna be
ones,
worth like
I have
$2,000 or
Ahsokas
something
from
like that.
like Rebels and I guess the Mandalorian. And those are gone. And then they came back with like a special edition version of them. And so I'm sure they'll do stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
But the Ben Solo sabers, there's a lot of sabers that they actually retired that I didn't realize that they had. But it makes sense because, you know, honestly, if they're going to keep a bunch of different lightsaber hilts, it makes sense to rotate them out. Because that's going to be a lot of lightsabers for people to choose from. So it
Right.
just makes more sense, just easy for like retail and line sake, and then also marketing sake for them to rotate them. But yeah, so speaking of Ben, you want Ben Solo's lightsaber, better go get
I
it.
just got this guy. We'll see if he's ever worth anything. It's the
Look how old you've become.
Black Series Kylo Ren, the flowy
Dude, it looks so
flowy
good, man.
cape. Yeah,
Nice.
It looks so good. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Dude, I
it's
need that.
fun.
But Jess, on the show, any last
Yes,
thoughts
but
on
on the
that?
show, that was a thought I had when we were talking about Ben. But on the show, I don't really think I have anything else. I'm just really excited to see where it goes, and I think they're obviously developing characters that we already know and love really well, and then they're giving us some great new characters. So I'm just excited to see what they do with it, and I'm just along for the ride. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Heck
Josh, how
yeah.
about you,
This
man?
is where the fun begins.
This is where the fun
Yeah.
begins.
I when Hayden Christensen said that at
Oh my gosh,
Celebration, that
dude.
was-
I literally almost teared up.
he isn't old. It's just his Palpatine eyes. Yeah.
Uh.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Josh, how
Yeah,
about you, man?
yeah.
Any final thoughts on the episodes?
No. Nope.
We said our
Nope.
piece.
No, because if I start talking again, I won't stop. So I have no
Wow.
further thoughts on this matter.
Such restraint.
I know. No, I
Um,
think we really did kind of go through the highlights really well. There's only so much to talk about with
Yeah, man.
two episodes in, and so we'll see where this second act takes us.
Yeah, man.
Is there anything
and-
more Star Wars Celebration we wanted to cover?
I mean, we talked about all the things that they kind of announced. I think the Bad Batch is tomorrow. The Bad Batch panel is tomorrow. I hope they stream it. Listen, there is one thing I gotta talk about, and it drives me crazy, and we're gonna get off here in just a second. But okay, Ash did say this, and I don't play video games, so of course I forgot this. But Jedi Survivor was they showed a trailer for it, and apparently it's awesome. But I don't really play video games that much, so I don't care.
I'm telling you,
a lot of people care. I don't.
It's gonna matter when this is my.
I'm gonna have to watch the cutscenes, of the video
It's
games.
so much more fun if you just play it.
Yeah, it
Takes
is.
so long.
But I
want to
Michael's
play
impatient
Mario and get my
and
stars.
stubborn.
I kind of get that. I'm at that age where it's just like I just want to play Tetris or like jump on some Goombas or something. Like I just like it's basically reverting back to my 8-year-old self with like my boxy Game Boy. You know,
I never graduated my 8-year-old gaming phase. I'm stuck
But-
there like forever.
Cal Kestis is a great character and a great Jedi, and I'm actually hoping that he shows up in live action at some point in one of these shows.
I feel like
because
they're setting it up for that
I
because
do too.
like I think Ash was saying like she wants the Barris hilt that they're considering releasing. I feel like they're considering releasing his lightsaber as well. So I feel like it just makes sense for him to show up in something.
Yeah, I think he could too. It does kind of seem like he's
And the droid, there was a droid like he has,
Yeah, it does kind of seem like they brought that droid back, right? It was that the droid that was in the Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
That was that same droid, or was it the same type of droid?
I know it's the same type of droid. I haven't played Fallen Order. I want to really bad,
Yeah,
but
it does seem like they're kind of hinting like a
yeah,
lot,
they're
like
doing a lot of marketing around like letting people know who this character is if you follow anything Star Wars, like even if you don't play the game.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the cutscenes are great too. So you could always go watch the cutscenes on YouTube.
I'll probably
Somebody
do that.
has
I'll
them
play the
listed.
game one day, but so
But
really
the
quick,
action in that game is just
Yeah. I've heard it's great.
It's great.
Dude. So Ash kind of brought up what I was going to talk about, and I totally agree with what she's saying. She says my complaint is that Disney is keeping so many panels behind closed doors, but I also want to say people online are like really getting angry about Disney gatekeeping, like because they're not showing us the trailers that are being shown at Celebration right now. They did show us Andor. They showed us Andor, but they haven't shown us like the Mandalorian trailer yet, which they showed at the Mando Plus panel. They haven't shown us the Ahsoka first look. They're keeping certain things behind closed doors for now for the general public. But they're showing the people who paid money to be at Celebration, and the people who paid money and had to win a lottery literally to be in that panel. Listen, we aren't owed anything.
Me.
We aren't owed anything. It's so entitled to be like, Disney it's so unfair that Disney is not showing all of us everything at the same time. No, they're going to show us the trailers when their marketing campaign gets going. They don't need to show us the Mando season 3 trailer yet. They don't need to show us anything before they're ready to. They just now showed us the Andor trailer, and that comes out in a couple of months. And I guess for me it's like, yes, it really sucks that they're not showing us the panels. I think they need to be showing us the panels. And it really is like really frustrating that people who want to be there can't at least see Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni talk about Ahsoka and the Mandalorian and all of this stuff. It's also kind of head scratching. Like, why wouldn't they want people seeing that? Like, why wouldn't they want people hearing that? But on the flip side, like, on the other hand, also,
no one's going to want to go if there's not exclusive content that you're getting there.
That's exactly. And so, like, for me, showing exclusive trailers that are exclusive for a while and then they release them later, that's part of what makes Celebration so cool. They've been doing that kind of thing at Comic-Con forever. And so for me, we don't need to be entitled about this stuff. But I also think Disney, come on, show us the panels at least. Like, we all just give us the panels, and then darken the screen while the trailer plays, and then bring us back to the panel. Like they've done that before. Like I remember a few years ago at I think it was the Rise of Skywalker, maybe they debuted something. And it was like it just kind of dropped out for a few minutes, and then there was just like this waiting music playing, and then they brought it back. Do that. Do that. Show us the panel, but it's okay that they're not showing us the trailers yet. It's okay that Celebration gets exclusive looks at things for a while. It's totally fine. We're not entitled to anything. Ugh, so annoying to me. Some of the people online. But anyway, that was my soapbox. Any thoughts on that?
Ash just said, I just want to see the panels. Yeah, I don't care about the trailers. I'll see them when I see them.
Exactly. We'll see them when we see them. We're not owed trailers before the marketing team is ready to show us the trailers. Like,
I mean, and some of that is going to be tested there at Celebration. What was the reaction to this trailer? How did it go for these people that paid all this money that came to see this, that are people that are, buying Star Wars merchandise and spending money on Star Wars? Did they like it? Do we need
if they don't like it, if they don't like it, then this is bad.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a great place for them to test out some stuff and tweak
Yeah.
some things and get fan reactions before it goes out to everyone.
Yeah. Anyway, I think showing exclusives at these things is really cool. It's one of the draws to it, and we just need to be patient. But that's my
And
last
next
thought
year,
on that.
guys, we're gonna go.
I better be there.
I'm putting it out there.
All right.
What did
so
Josh
guys,
say?
That's the hope.
that's the hope. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. So, thank you two, by the way, for joining me for this. This was really fun, and I can't wait to talk about all the rest of these episodes. We get the next one this Wednesday. We don't have to wait a whole week for it. It goes back to the normal day, which is exciting that I don't have to wait a whole week. But also, like, I like Friday nights showing. Also, Disney put on these shows earlier in the night, like at prime time. That was so cool, staying up with everybody watching it together. That was so fun. And usually I'm up all by myself watching it. Everyone's asleep.
Like releasing it at a time that people were like
Yes.
realistically stay up for.
Release it at 7, 8, and 9 and 10.
It's like
release it.
I mean, even HBO would release Game of Thrones at 9 p.m. Central Time.
Exactly.
You know, and that's Sunday night before people go to work on Mondays, and people would stay up and watch it.
Yeah,
you know,
because what you are showing is premium content that people will stay up to see if it's not 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, I think they should do that eventually, but we'll see.
Well, I will miss you guys next week, but y'all have a great discussion.
Oh man. Okay, so Jessica, any last thoughts or anything that you want to talk about that you're doing on social media or anything like that?
Just, trying to get some good stuff for our Instagram.
Plug it.
So yeah, if you guys could follow that, we're close to, I mean, it's slowly growing. All of us have other jobs and stuff that we're doing too. So, but anyway, it's close to like 200. I think we're close to 200 followers. So if we could get that to 200, that would be amazing and so fun. So it's certain point of view pod is the Instagram and our TikTok as well.
Yes. And
yeah, I'm sorry, my parents' 50th wedding anniversary is next week, so we're going.
I think
priorities, Jess. Unbelievable.
That's a perfectly valid reason.
That's amazing. 50 years?
Yeah.
Did you say 50? That's insane.
Yeah. Wow. Well, my parents were like married 17 years before they had me. So my parents are like a good 10 years older than most people my age's parents. Yeah. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to them. That's totally cool that you got it, that you're going to be there. And okay, so Josh, anything that you would like to plug really quick before we get out of here?
Follow me on Twitter at Outer Rim SW. It's right there. Also, if you enjoy good, fun, civil Star Wars discussion, come join the Outer Rim of Facebook group, or the Outer Rim of Star Wars group on Facebook, rather. And then also the discussion group for a certain point as well. We have some great discussions in that group as well. But we typically, we've kind of found our Star Wars spaces that we like, and they pretty much stick around with it's kind of the certain point of view discussion group and the Outer Rim discussion group, and that's kind of where we live for the most part. There are some other good discussion groups out there, by the way. There really are.
But these are just by far the best.
I'm a little biased, of course. But at any rate, and then by the way, we haven't done content in a long time, but the Outer Rim is going to be doing Obi-Wan reviews. Oh.
And I believe I'm going to be on one of those, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you are.
Oh, look at you.
I believe you are. So anyway, that's all I've got. I'm going to go take a and go to sleep.
Amazing. Yeah, and thank
And
y'all for
Curry, we should shout out for Curry that he has started
yeah.
doing reviews again.
Yeah,
I don't know his YouTube channel. Y'all have to.
yeah, I feel bad. I'm not prepared to do this.
Sorry, I kind of threw that. Like,
Wow, curveball. Let's see. Is it Curinator? Is it Curinator?
I think so.
Not, it's not the first one that comes up. That's for sure. That's not him. I don't know. This just looks weird.
Hold on, he sent it to our thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Anyway, I really don't know.
I got it, Jack, guys. But we'll
Okay.
talk later.
Okay, man. Well, it's good to talk to you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks. I need
Yeah,
more
man.
tea. All right.
All right, man. See ya.
Bye.
And so just to finish this out, Jessica and Josh kind of covered the Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, but I am in charge of the Twitter account. So if you guys could go follow at certain_POV pod, that'd be great. And please subscribe to our podcast if you haven't already, and be sure to leave a rating and reviews. It's going to be, honestly, it really does help us out. And we'll also, hopefully we'll have, we'll be having some other guests on during the Obi-Wan series. So I'm really excited about that. I know we're working with a few people for sure. So we got them lined up. So I'm excited. Jess, did you find that yet? Or
I'm almost there.
I just want to end.
Hold on. Oh.
Ash says it's the same as his OnlyFans.
Okay, Curry, where is this? We just have so many chats in this.
I know.
Okay, it is. I'm pulling it up.
Well, is it just a random?
Yeah, it is Curinator 1.
Curinator 1. That's it. That's right.
Curranator 1.
Okay, I'm just gonna give that so I have a clean edit. Ash, thanks for sticking through this. Jess, did you find that yet? What's Curry's YouTube name?
Are you kidding me? I just still swiped out of it because I said.
I told you I want. Okay.
Okay.
This is so funny. Okay.
Okay,
So,
hold on.
it's okay, I remember it.
Curinator 1.
Yeah, it's Curinator 1. Yeah. Okay. This is the worst ending of all time.
We're people. It's fine.
Ash says, does he review Indian food? No, he reviews movies and shows and such. So go check it out. He's great. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Ash, thank you for being here the whole time. Awesome. And I know someone else is in there too. I see you. But thank y'all for joining us. Thank you for listening. And until next time, may the force be with you always.